Welcome to the Emajin Golf Podcast Beyond the 19. I'm your host Raj Narayan, and I have the pleasure of chatting to one of our members today, Josh Hallam from Falanga Co. Josh shares with us his journey of moving from being a great sports person to sports consulting to business consulting and now working in the accounting field, and shares some great gems which every business owner should learn about. It's a great listen, so hope you enjoy. Josh, you've been a member of Emajin since the beginning of this year. You attended so many events. I feel like you've been a member forever. But look, it's fantastic to have you on the podcast and hear more about your story. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. So look, let's start at the very beginning. I know you met a whole lot of members in the Sydney community, but obviously Emajin is quite large, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Gold Coast. So it'll be great for people to hear more about you. So let's start at the beginning. George, tell us a bit about George, the person, the early days. Where are you from? And tell us a bit more about the early days.
Sure thing. So born and bred in Sydney, up there on the North Shore of Sydney. So
I'm in the North Shore as well.
There you go.
So we might be neighbours.
That's it. So three older siblings and big sporting family. So I was always trying to keep up with my older brothers. Got into sport really early. Play anything with a ball, any time of competition or competitive element, I was into it. Quickly found football or soccer as my sport. So I played that at a decent level through school and into my teens. And then, once I realised I wasn't going to make it as a footballer, as a player, I shifted into coaching.
Yeah.
And so...
coaching soccer?
Yeah, coaching.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm coaching soccer originally. And that took me on quite the journey from there. But from a golf perspective, I picked up a golf club probably 10 or 12 years old. Started in around it. North Taramara.
Not Taramara. Yeah, I'm very close to that. When COVID was there, I played a lot at North Taramara. We call it the Royal North Taramara.
Royal North Taramara. Only the locals call it.
Oh, exactly. I live in Kalara. So whereabouts are you from, Josh?
Down in North Taramara.
Not Taramara. There is
walkies.
This is to a
course, and didn't realize that until
I know people call it facetiously or as a joke that it's a Royal North Taramara.
Yes.
But it's a stunning views at the course, isn't it? It's like just stunning when you go and play there.
Yeah, once the renovations kicked in for those back holes, and it really transitioned the course. And like you said, on the right days, those bush views,
they're beautiful,
really nice.
Because when we had the 5 kilometer radius during COVID. That was in my 5 kilometer radius.
Okay.
So I remember I played there so much. That's pretty much all I did during COVID. Play golf. So that was super good. So look, as a golfer myself, I always wish that I'd taken up golf when I was a junior, because you feel like when you take up golf as a junior, you just have to swing so much more fluently, and I call it being more fearless in your golf.
Yeah.
Whereas as an adult, you start thinking, so many swing thoughts, and you start thinking all these things.
That's right.
So tell me a bit more about your golf. We'll talk a bit about golf. We'll come back to career. Tell us a bit more about your golf. So you took it up when you were 12. Do you feel that's given you an unfair advantage?
Not at all. No, I think it's when I say took it up, I was playing almost just at that course with family, friends, and then football got in the way. And so football consumer for a while, and then didn't really, from 18 years old and older, I was more of that Christmas golfer. So 3 or 4 times a year maximum, generally in the months of December and January, and then you put the club away for 10 months, and only recently picked it back up.
Yeah, post-COVID probably.
Post-COVID, yes.
People picked it up during COVID and then kept playing after.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Very right. So no, I'm picking up the journey again, but I'm not sure if I was better at 12 or 41, but time will tell.
Exactly, but that's the greatest thing, isn't it, about golf? Yeah. Like, you don't have to be better, you just have your own handicap, and you just to play to your own handicap. So that makes it a great equalizer.
It's a great level.
Exactly.
That's a great level. Yeah.
So look, obviously you were playing a lot of sport, lots of time spent in Saturday sport. But what about the studies and business? And tell me a bit more about your career and how you ended up where you are.
Sure. So after I finished school, I was coaching as a career, and I did a business management degree. One thing led to another, and I ended up shifting my degree to part-time, and I was running this coaching business during the day.
Yeah.
So I started working for this particular coaching business, and then the owner had other aspirations and other things to do. So at 24 years old, and kind of handed the reins over to me until I was running this coaching business here in Sydney for...
Oh, fantastic. Coaching what? Like
sports coaching. So we were running...
Coaching, okay, fantastic.
Yeah, so coaching in schools, in clubs, in programs. And we ended up coaching 120,000 participants a year.
Oh, wow.
Across the eastern seaboard. So at 24 years young, I was learning a lot about business. And I think a lot of the things I implemented from a business perspective came from that coaching background. So the ability to run teams of people, the ability to work with clients.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Because obviously you were a player as well. Obviously had the experience firsthand. And always, people say the players make the best coaches. And the same in business. Like when you run a business, you become a better business coach than people who are just coaching and haven't actually had that opportunity to do a business. So obviously it's a long way from there. So tell me a bit more. You started with this coaching business.
Yeah. And
then where to from there?
So
how long were you there in this coaching business?
I was there for about 10 years. Maybe 8 or 9 years, yeah.
Okay.
Towards the end of that tenure, I realised that the world I was operating in was pretty small, sports industry.
Yeah.
So I decided to go and do an MBA. So I went to an MBA for a few years.
Okay, where did you?
I did it through Deakin.
Yeah, okay, nice.
And so it was 3 years of my life of just work and study and work and study. Somehow I got married in the middle of that. Very understanding, forgiving wife. And then that really opened up my eyes. So that network, that learning, that growth took me to the next role, which was helping professional development companies scale across Asia. And so I took on that role and was there for a few years. And so the ability to run, again, coaching programs, but more in a corporate space, professional development space, leadership space, from a small business in Sydney to having teams across Sydney, the Philippines and India. So,
fabulous. Because I've got an MBA myself at one point, because all I've done in my whole life is keep on changing careers. So I started off, I did commerce, and then I went into, interestingly, I did my PY at Deloitte, so I'd been into accounting.
Yep.
And then hated audit, hated accounting, and then I thought, then I did some work. I was a management accountant in one of the, a security company, and then the CEO was looking to do some acquisitions. So I did some analysis on the acquisition, and I just loved it. I loved M&A work. Right. Thought that's it. This is what I want to do. Sure. So I went and did an MBA and went into banking.
Yeah.
I'd been to consulting, then banking, so everything, all of the above. I keep on changing the career, and now I never have thought I'd be in golf, but now I'm doing some golf business, which is interesting. But I find MBA is a great ground day because it gives you the breadth. You learn all the aspects. You learn a bit of strategy, a bit of HR, a bit of marketing, a bit of operations. And it's so similar to being a business owner because you're doing a bit, you got all these hats. You're more a generalist than a specialist.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that you said that. But tell me a bit more. So obviously you were coaching in Asia and Australia and India, Philippines, etc. So what are these? Are they business training programs or what do you?
Yeah. So at that time our programs were both for individuals and in corporates.
Yes.
So going into corporations, and a lot of our training was around the ability to communicate, the ability to lead.
Yeah.
And that took us into some very large organisations, like software companies of the world. But also we had the opportunity to be in front of people starting out in their own businesses in Australia. And they had a great message. And it was about, I'm really good as a technician, but I can't convey that to the end user. And so therefore I can't grow my business or I can't influence my team in a way so they can deliver what I can deliver to then enable me to scale. That was a really interesting few years that I spent a lot of time in Europe. But it was...
That's the thing about consulting, isn't it? The travel. I did that for a very short stint and I thought, no, not for me.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the travel, but I'll enjoy the banking side of it more. But so look, it's great. And then obviously from there you moved into this, to Falanga.
That's right. Yeah. So Falanga Co, we're accounting advisory firm. We work very closely with small and medium businesses. Yes, you mentioned acquisitions. I should have called you about 6 months ago, right? We've just gone through 2 small acquisitions.
Oh, it's okay, fabulous.
Yeah, so that's keeping me very busy at the moment. And so what we do on a day-to-day basis is really support our business clients, of which there's about 500, to help not just understand the numbers of their business, but then support the decision-making from those numbers.
Because, look, I'm a big believer in, knowing your numbers as a business owner. And obviously, I don't know whether it's because I come from a banking background or whether I've always been numeric, did 4-year maths, etc. So whether it's a numeric background from back in the day, but I'm a big believer in knowing your numbers.
Yep.
And whether your business is performing really well or not so well or anywhere in between, knowing what's going on and planning everything is the best way to achieve success.
That's right.
Because even like I say sometimes, I always talk about profits, and I say, when you're a business owner, you want to get profits. But I always say, not too much and not too fast. Because when you start chasing profits and money and taking it back, you sometimes could stunt growth. Sometimes you stop reinvesting. So it's always like it's good to have profits because you've proven that your model is sustainable and it's not, it's economical. But at the same time, you really want to, not too much too early. Like you want to, grow. So I always believe at Even, I'd imagine like every time we go here, then, when we hit break even, I invest in the next big project. Like, when we reach a point, always try to fund future growth. But knowing your numbers is really big. But I mean, we've chatted before, obviously, and one of the big things that you guys talk about is going beyond the numbers.
That's right.
It's like beyond the 19th, but beyond the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like beyond the numbers is simply amazing. So tell me a bit more about that, because I find that fascinating. Really, as an accounting firm, because not everybody's talking about reporting the numbers, and you're saying, well, here's some numbers, but we're going to go beyond it. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's the phrase we use to describe our approach.
Yeah.
And I think traditionally or historically, an accountant would look backwards with you and look at the quarter that was, or the year that was, or the results that were, and provide the processing and the reporting and the end result from a taxation perspective. And I think that's really transitioned the last 5 years. And certainly in Falanga Co, our approach is to really look forwards.
Yeah.
So the processing now is technology enables that to be somewhat automated. And so the role of the accountant has changed from reporting backwards to really helping you plan and move forwards. And that's where we add a layer of education, that layer of coaching, that layer of scenario planning with a business owner. So I think the expectations that business owners have of their accountant should be greater than what they are.
Because even look, so aptly put, because as I told you about my career, started off in audit, hated it the most because it's like a postmortem. It's like a postmortem. The body's dead, and now you're like, I'm doing a postmortem of this body. Yeah. And then accounting is a bit, the next is closer, but still only one step removed, because all you're doing is reporting on the quarter that's been, the month that's been, the year that's been, everything, and providing the stats. But it's almost too late. Like, what's the point of coming at the end of the month and telling me your sales was too less or your profit was not enough or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I should have addressed this at the pricing model, because otherwise I'm going to not get anything. Yeah. And I love what you said, that it's not just about forecasting, but it's also scenario planning, like looking at what various avenues and what that looks like. So it's almost like, like budgeting or forecasting, but on steroids. Like you're actually analyzing and working out what a good strategy might be for the company.
Exactly right, and looking at it from a holistic perspective.
Yeah.
So the ability to, I use the background that I have in running businesses myself, to be able to help transition our information to other fellow business owners.
Yeah.
I've lived the life of the 2 a.m. wake-ups around how do I make payroll next?
Yeah.
And I've lived the life of how am I going to be in 3 places at once? And so that appreciation for a business owner's life, we really infiltrate into how we operate, because, too often a business owner needs more of a flexible and adaptive piece of advice from their accountant, as opposed to a stock standard approach that doesn't have that layer of communication or that layer of partnerships between the accounting and advice and the actual business owner itself.
Yeah, and look, I don't think there's any business owner. I don't think you're a true business owner or running a good business if you haven't had that thing. How am I going to make payroll? What am I going to do? It's a part and parcel of what being an entrepreneur or business owner is all about, right?
Yeah.
And it is the biggest challenge, but it's also the biggest thing, the autonomy. Because I would come from a large corporate career, and of course I never had to worry where my paycheck's going to come from or where my bills are going to be paid from because. And especially in the banking world, you got fat checks all the time. You were like, yep, this is great. Yeah. But what you didn't have is the autonomy, the ability to do something different or change something. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's like the joy of being a business owner, but also with it comes the challenges of being a business owner. So I think it's pretty cool that to have someone to work with you to analyze these things would be a great asset. As a business owner myself, I think that would be so cool to have that. And also probably because you're not the business owner, you have that perspective. When people look at it from outside, sometimes, you get too attached to something. The project's dead, but you don't want to let it go. You're still putting money into the dead thing.
Yeah.
Whereas perspective is a great thing.
That's right. Often, a business owner is normally a great technician in his own area. And they decide to run their own business and create that autonomy that you spoke of. And then they turn around 2 years later and they're a business owner. And they've had, other than experience, they've got to surround themselves with the right people who have been there, done that, and Emajin really plays a role in that. Being able to play golf for 4 hours with people who might be at a more mature stage of business, whether it's in a similar industry or not. But it's that ability to be able to say, okay, what's the information, knowing what I don't know, and how that can influence me in my business now. Mm-hmm. And that's really the role that we aim to play with our diverse set of experience with hundreds of clients in different industries, and me personally with my own experience of both the educational background,
the consulting background, and then training background. But so I think that's a great fit. So obviously you do all the core elements of the accounting as well.
Yes.
But you also do the additional value add type of stuff.
Yes.
Which is pretty fantastic. So tell me a bit more about Falanga. Like how long have the business been running, and is it in Sydney? Is it across the board? So tell us a bit more about the business.
So the business started 14 years ago. Mm-hmm. The name comes from the surname of the founders.
Oh, this is what I was going to ask you. Like Falanga, what does it stand for, Falanga?
Yeah.
So that's good.
So traditionally, a lot of accounting firms.
Is it the name of the actual? Is this their exact last name, or is that sort of combination?
No, it's their last name.
Yes.
So the other partners in the business are Falangas, and so that's where the name comes from. We're based here in Sydney, just in your roads, in the Concours Golf Course, and we operate right across Australia.
Yeah.
And so we've got clients of all different sizes that are really the similarity between our clients is that they're geared for growth, or they have a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Clients that are looking to wind down or just maintain what they have probably don't get the most value that we can provide. And so that's where we really position our services to clients who want to take that next step, want to understand
growth, scaling, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
No 2 days are the same because we're dealing with so many different diverse businesses, diverse owners who have their own challenges, and we think we're doing a good job when they call us and they share those challenges with us.
Yeah, no, look, that's fantastic because I always love you have so many different business models, and people always think that every business. I love chatting to different business owners because every business has its own unique thing. Like yours, you talked about going beyond the numbers, doing the analysis, doing the additional stuff. Whereas there'll be some accountants who don't want to do that. They just say, we want to do this, run of the mill, and because we have this down pat and that's all we do. And each model is valued by different people.
Yeah.
So I love the the growth and scaling companies because look, I come from a financial background, a banking background, but still it's not entrepreneurial. It's more about, because I used to be a credit analyst back in the day.
Yes.
So I'm very good at analyzing P&Ls and balance sheets, and we used to rate companies for equity and for credit. So you kind of get that knowledge, but still as a business owner, it's quite different, the analysis that you do. But you're not, just reporting on something. You actually have to now make it work or improve. Like, you got to pull, because you got various levers to pull, and what are you going to do to create, the outcome you want. And that's where I think the whole scenario planning and scenario analysis is brilliant, because you can say, well, here's option 1, but here's option 2, and here's option 3. Yeah. and where do I want to be in this risk reward matrix, and how do I want to,
That's right.
how do I want to plan where I want to be?
Yeah, and a phrase that I often use with business owners is that, too often if you're rowing the boat in the wrong direction, by rowing harder, you're not going to get closer to your desired location.
Yeah.
And I think too often, because of maybe the support that they feel that they don't have from their advisors, whether it's accounting or a business advisor or a different advisor or a business coach, that the solution to a challenge that they have is we'll just work harder or do more of the same thing.
Yeah.
But if the thing that they're doing is the wrong thing, if we're heading in the wrong direction, then it's getting the advice from people around you to reset and recalibrate to make sure you are heading in the right direction. And once you know that, then you can start rowing harder.
And exactly, because there are so many, in a business, there's so many big decisions. There are so many little decisions as well, right? And every little one, people think is little, but actually leads to a big one eventually. Yeah. And I like your analogy about rowing in the wrong direction. You're rowing faster. You're only going more and more into that wrong spot. And I actually think, even at Emajin, I'm always looking at these things where I look at, you go to a new geography, and I say, what is the point where initially I'm flying staff members to go to the geography, run events there. And at some point, there'll be a tipping point where it makes more sense for me to actually have an office in that geography and employ staff.
Yeah.
Event one, it doesn't make sense for me to employ full-time FTE in that geography because we don't have enough business there.
Yeah.
And we always have this chicken and egg. So we run events for our members, but we need members to come to events. So when you go to a new geography, you're running events and, trying to get people who may be non-members to come to see what it looks like to become members.
Yeah.
But at some point you say, well, we're only going to have members because we don't want people to come because we have enough scale. So I find that these decisions are quite tricky, and it would be so fantastic to have someone to provide these. At what point does it make sense for me to have an office in Melbourne or office in Brisbane or office in WA? And what point does it make sense for us to, now we're ready to go launch in Singapore?
Yeah.
Can the business sustain that? Because a decision like that is big, but once you go there, there's no turning back.
That's right.
But the timing needs to be right. The scaling needs to be right. We need to be able to,
And I think too,
make that happen.
In that example, it's a great example of where, a great advisor to the business needs to understand the goals and aspirations of the business owner or owners to be able to then provide the best advice. Mm-hmm. And so without having that layer of trust and that true partnership, the decision could be done just purely on a numerical basis, what makes sense. But if that doesn't align to what the true passion of the business owner is, where they want to take their business, where they want to take their group of businesses, then it's having that relationship, having that understanding, that trust to be able to say, okay, this might make sense on paper. It doesn't align to what you want this business to be. Mm-hmm. And then providing that scenario to say, this is going to make you both happier and hopefully wealthier. But most importantly, it aligns to where you want to grow this business and take this business.
And it's so important because also sometimes you could make decisions today which then compromise or stunt future growth.
Yes.
And you haven't thought about it yet because you're so worried about today.
Yeah.
And this is where having that perspective and also having an external advisor who is quite... who's looking at it in multiple clients.
Yeah.
I find that you also get some knowledge transfer from, other players. What is the other? Somebody else did something and it worked or something. I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, the best lesson to learn is the failure of somebody else.
Yeah, I can't tell. They did that, stuffed up. Prevent that mistakes. I love that. I love that concept. So look, you said you have 500 clients that you work with. So would they all be in Sydney or all over Australia?
All over Australia.
And you have offices as well in these geographies. So
we have a couple of offices in Sydney.
Yeah.
And then we're doing a similar scenario for yourself.
Yeah.
And what's the right time to open that Melbourne office is probably next for us, because our client base is growing down there, and we like to.
Better golf courses in Melbourne as well, there, Josh.
That's what I've heard. That's what I hear.
You should come in there, so play golf with us.
Yeah. So when we at the right point, we'll have to.
Yeah, but that's the same thing, right? Because up until a certain point, it makes sense for you to fly.
Yeah.
And also for being a consulting or accounting type model.
Yeah.
that point is probably a lot further away because you could just fly and service clients anyway, because a lot of the time you only need to be there for client-facing things.
Yeah, true.
Whereas the rest of the time you could just be working in your office or whichever. I mean, unless you're working client-facing, which these days nobody does rarely.
Yeah.
So you're only there mostly for meetings and things, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I think there's real value in being face-to-face with clients. We've been around the table. And that environment, I still think, is the best opportunity to really glean from a client, well, what's their real challenge?
Yeah.
And so instead of addressing the symptoms of a problem, being able to get to the core of it, being able to solve the core of it, and then obviously the symptoms.
Yeah, fabulous. And look, it was great to chat, learn more about what you do. Obviously, it is a golf podcast, Beyond the 19. So let's talk a little bit about golf as well.
Yeah.
You took it up early when you were 12 or 13, then only a recreational half-house hiatus, a long hiatus. And look, you will be surprised. It's very common. Because what happens, people do it when they're schooling days or something. Yeah. Then suddenly, either they play a different sport for a while, or they just, get a job, get a mortgage, then they have, family, kids, and then they just have a big hiatus because there's no time on a Saturday or Sunday to go away for like 4.5, 5 hours and play golf.
Yeah.
And then people always tend to come back at a certain point, and that's what we find a lot. Then when they start, in the corporate world, they start playing golf because obviously they want to play with their clients or other colleagues. And look, when we started Emajin, I actually started running golf days on the weekend because I thought people would want to play on the weekend. It's all day.
Yeah.
And we even had like tea times on Saturdays. As you can imagine, Saturdays is the hardest time to get. Tea times on Sundays.
Yeah.
Crickets. We could not get anyone to turn up.
Right.
Because even though the day is free, that day is allocated for family time.
Yes.
People are driving the kids to Saturday sport or doing something with their family or something.
Certainly, yeah.
And as a networking group, we also ran some midweek events and packed.
Yeah.
And you've been to our events like this, fully packed.
Yeah.
So the midweek events are like packed like anything. But if I ran one next Saturday, trust me, there'll be no one.
No.
And it's so interesting.
Yeah,
so now that you're back from your hiatus, tell me, what are your aspirations? Do you want to, for golf, and where do you want to get to? Or maybe
the first one is just to play more golf, and so going from 3 or 4 games across the summer months to being able to play 10 or 12 in 1 month was the first goal, and then competitive person, competitive nature.
That's playing all that sport there.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so wanting to reduce the handicap and wanting to play better golf and wanting to, but also just set the right expectations and play some great golf courses, which I've been lucky enough to do this year.
No, that's good. And look, you're talking about the Melbourne office. Definitely, you have to put all your client meetings around the golf days. Because the golf courses in Melbourne are significantly better. We don't make it. It is there. The sign belt is there.
Yeah.
So,
it's just influenced my calendar management. And so I've make sure our executive assistant knows when the Melbourne events are as much as the Sydney event.
Yeah.
So make sure that they line up.
And you'll find when you go into Melbourne, our community is quite... it's really interesting because the Sydney one obviously was the first group that we had.
Sure.
So it's very diverse, there's great diversity. So we have right from solopreneurs to listed CEOs and everything in between. Yeah. Whereas Melbourne, we went there almost 2 years after we were in business. And the Melbourne community is very homogeneous. But what I mean is they're all business owners, they all have a certain similar size. They're all large businesses, but it's very, it's very different. Also, they're all from very tightly knit around that Sandbelt area.
Right.
So, because all the courses are also 10 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a pocket, which is so tight. Whereas in Sydney, the courses are all everywhere, people are everywhere, it's a little bit different. Yeah. And then when you go there, you'll find it's a little bit of a different culture. And Queensland is similar, it's different as well. So they have their own different size of companies, different types of businesses. It's like really interesting. Each of them when you go in. Yeah. I still imagine, but you'll find a little bit of a culture change.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to play with one of the guys from Melbourne last week. A couple of weeks ago. And so just understanding a bit more about what it's like down there.
Yeah, it's great. Melbourne is Sydney is our biggest, but Melbourne is our fastest growing. So Melbourne, I'm sure, will overtake Sydney soon or be equal in size. And we've only been in Melbourne for 18 months.
Yeah, wow.
Whereas in Sydney, we've been there for like 3 years. So you see what I'm saying? So there's a difference. But Melbourne is like, if you go to the events, they're pretty much of a similar size. So it's really interesting. Whereas Brisbane, obviously, will be like a slightly smaller one.
Yeah.
Only because, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's Emajin. I think that's just corporate Australia.
That's right.
All businesses are headquartered more businesses are headquartered in Sydney and Melbourne. And Brisbane is like, the kind of smaller region. So, it's still we get 50, 60 people at events, but so it's like slightly smaller. But the culture is very different. And Brisbane, everybody's like out there to play golf. Sydney, a lot more networking, and Melbourne is a bit of a mix of the two.
And I find the same with our clients, sort of a bit more laid back in Brisbane.
They laid back, yes.
Sydney always late, and then Melbourne, they're a tight knit group.
Yeah.
And so it's just there's a lot of synergies between the culture we see of the clientele and what you describe for the members. And I think it's about adapting how you do things to suit those groups.
To suit those groups as well. And that's good. And look, in all of these podcasts, I always like asking people, a little bit about their golf, whether they have any bucket list golf courses or dream four ball that they may want to play with.
Right.
So what are any courses you've been, is there any goals from that perspective in terms of golf?
I think for me it's about playing Australia's best at the moment, and so some of the courses that even through Emajin being access to New South Wales that opened recently, hadn't played that course before.
We actually played there the first time the guests were allowed at New South Wales. Actually, so we were lucky to have it. I booked it a year in advance, but it just so happened that it was a good
50k hour wins. You brought those. We also.
Well, I'm going to give you a better date in September. I'm going to give you a better date in September.
But I think at the moment it's just getting out there more often, and then once I think I'm worthy to step on some of the better courses. So leveraging the group to be able to get in onto those.
Yeah, fabulous. One of my very early founding members, Peter, he said to me, Raj, your goal has got to be to take us to all the top 100 courses in Australia.
Yeah.
And I said to him, look, we will do that over the next 3 years. I'm going to take us to every one of the top 100 courses.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been kind of working on slowly adding more events to our list and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. I think I heard that. I listened to a couple of the podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great to hear more about the people that you play golf with, and I think that was on the list, and I agree.
Yeah, that should be definitely something, right?
That should be the goal.
And also the unique thing is as you know, golf is very hard to a lot of barriers to entry as a sport, like long wait lists, big join fees, etc. And need to know the who's who of the suit.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's really an interesting model, but I hope that's one of my aspirations as well. Obviously, to build a business, build a community, etc. But also to really open up the sport, really make it accessible, and really bring a new, caliber of golfer and business owner into playing this sport. Get more and more people who perhaps wouldn't have tried it before to come and give it a go, or perhaps who are on a hiatus to bring them back.
Yeah, I think that's the ability to have that access and the ability to have also the variety of courses to play. That's certainly what appealed to me, and I imagine so. Playing the same course every week has its merits, but then being able to play different courses
and they're both quite different. Like I'm a member of 3 golf courses in Sydney, and being a member is one thing because that's all about just playing golf.
Yeah.
Whereas playing across other courses is completely different, and networking and connecting with people.
Yeah.
And they are not like an either or; they're almost like an and. So you can do this and that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah.
And look, in these podcasts, I always like to ask people about some advice or something, some thoughts they want to leave or give to a business owner. And, Emajin is a very large community, number of business owners. Any words of advice or anything you'd want to, say to them in terms of if they're a business owner, what to look out for from a financial perspective, or the questions to ask that they can think about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's two things for me. One is really ensuring, doesn't matter what stage you are of your business, but ensuring that the business is a vehicle that's growing your own personal wealth, and utilising that learning and utilising that vehicle to be able to ensure that yourself and your family and your partner is growing its wealth, not just having a highly profitable business entity that one day may or may not have value to it, an asset value. And so really using that and knowing that path and knowing that understanding really early, the earlier the plan, the better. And the second one is coming back to that phrase I mentioned before, ensuring that you're leveraging your network, your advice, the people around you, that just to sense check that you're rowing that boat in the right direction. Before you spend too long rowing it too hard and realize that you're at the wrong destination. They're the two key things that really form the background of the advice that we give, and the advice that helps our clients grow their business and grow their groups.
That's fantastic. And what do you do? Like, say, give me an example of a typical project. So say you started, and what do you do? Like, you sit down and interview your clients, or how does it work? Like, how do they come up with it?
Two components to what we do. One is the ongoing compliance services for a business, so your tax and compliance side of things. And so they're annual recurring things that you have to do as a business owner and operator, maximising the outcomes in that regard for the clients. But then it's supporting them with other opportunities, or supporting them with education around other opportunities that might come about, whether that's acquiring another business, what that look like, whether that's you got to a point where your core business is operating under management and you find yourself with the time or a passion or a hobby, the best way to structure that from an IT perspective as a group, and looking at your whole group, so yourself and your family and your different businesses and different entity vehicles that you can use to again focus on that personal wealth building. To maximise that outcome for you, because business owners work bloody hard.
I know. People always think, I want to have a lot of autonomy on my time. I'm going to go start a business, and they go, famous last words.
Well, you hear it all the time. But why just start a business? Well, it was to create more time and to create more financial freedom. And then you ask them a few years later, less time, and they're saying, no money. And so really, that's our job. Our job is to support them with the advice and the structure and the planning to be able to establish whether it is time and that's more value to them than the financials, or whether financials is key. Then, giving them the advice not just from an accounting perspective, but a holistic business perspective to enable that goal for them. And once they get there, then let's realign the goalposts and where do we go to next?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's fantastic. I really love all the great tips and advice that you're given, and this is a value, I think, as well, like of being part of Emajin, for myself and for our members, is that you hear these, these great pieces of advice from our different other members, so you can actually learn from that. And sometimes you end up utilizing their services, and sometimes you don't, but still you've got that advice. Yeah, you've got that knowledge that you've been able to chit chat with someone.
Absolutely.
4.5 hours.
Yeah, and I think all the members, you've got to just make sure that you're getting the best possible value from your accountant is your value driver and cost center, and it's helping you to really take that next step, whatever that might be for you and your business.
Yeah, fantastic, Josh. I've thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you. Thrilled to have you as part of the community, and look forward to catching up with you on the golf course next, hopefully.
Thank you so much, Raf. So great to be here.